Hello and welcome back. This is the short primer on chapters 8, 9 and 10 of the certification called Sustainability Climate Risk or SCR. We are moving to the second module, which is Policy, Regulations and Implication of Climate Change. These are the various sources from which these chapters are taken. Let's continue. So UN has released 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Most of their targets are to be achieved by 2030. To understand them better, they are divided into 6 transformations. So SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, focus on time-bound targets for 5 Ps, which are prosperity, people, planet, peace, and partnerships. The major goal of SDGs is to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emission by 2050. UNFCCC is the primary international intergovernmental panel for negotiating global response to climate change. How these 6 transformations are decided? They need to be mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. They need to follow a system-based approach. Also, they need to align with government organization, as the government organization has the wherewithal to implement this ambitious target. But they need to follow this leave no one behind principle, that is, every citizen should be part of Sustainable Development Goal. So the very first transformation is about education, gender and inequality. Major focus has been on early childhood development as well as their education. Apart from this, vocational training and higher education for adults has also been considered in it. Social protection system as well as labor standards of all the employees in the world needs to be considered. And research and development focus has also been there, so that from less resources, much of the things can be achieved. This transformation belongs to SDG 4, 5 and 6. For every other transformation, they belong to some other SDG. I hope you can understand them. The second is health. So intermediate output of this is universal health coverage. There needs to be a publicly financed health system with the community health programs. The next transformation is energy decarbonization and sustainable industry. So access to clean energy, that is moving from fossil fuel to renewable energy, needs to be achieved. Zero carbon electricity generation would be achieved when we move from fossil fuel. Energy efficiency has been a focus as the demand would continue to increase. So to reduce supply, energy needs to be efficient. Also, electrification of carbon intensive industries such as steel, cement as well as transport needs to be provided. And in this way, pollution can be curbed. So the next transformation, which is about sustainable food, land, water and ocean. There needs to be an efficient agriculture system. Our food system is vulnerable to climate change, so this is one of the premier transformations. But there should be protection of ecosystem so that we don't destroy them further. Healthy food promotion needs to be provided so that citizens don't eat unhealthy food. Also, trade and supply chains needs to follow sustainable, needs to have sustainable development as their goal. There should be an integration of land use as well as water management so that less resources are utilized. So the next transformation, which is about sustainable cities and communities. Every citizen living in the city needs to have access to water, sanitation as well as waste management. The mobility as well as transport network needs to be sustainable, that is renewable energy based transportation system. More number of people should live in less space and therefore complex settlement needs to be constructed. Also, cities needs to be adapted as well as resilient to climate change. And the last transformation is about digital evolution for sustainable development. We know that fourth industrial revolution has started. So citizens need universal broadband as well as information technology. Government need to provide infrastructure for that. Also, digital inclusion, privacy protection, as well as universal identity for every citizen needs to be provided. All SDGs need to be mobilized into digital technologies to achieve them. Now, all this transformation belong to principles of circularity and decoupling. So, what is circularity? Countries must change patterns of consumption and production to decouple human well-being from environmental degradation through circularity that promote reuse and recycling of materials. Transformation 1, 2 and 3 belong to this, whereas social and economic progress needs to be decoupled from decarbonization, sustainable material, use of fresh water, land and renewable and non-renewable energy. This is for transformation 4, 5 and 6. An example of it is life cycle approach to electric vehicles. We know that electric vehicles during the initial phase incur large amount of cost. However, as per the principle, life cycle approach of electrical vehicles needs to be considered, as they incur less cost during their operation than the conventional medium. These are the circling and decoupling principle for all the transformations. So these transformations are governed by a mechanism which is time-bound and quantitative targets such as net zero emission. So the first is goal-based design. Government all around the world need to set medium-term targets with time limit of 10 to 30 years. There should be a goal-based organization of government in which long-term pathway alignment is also there. Social activism, in the case of religious leaders such as Pope Francis, who had released Laudato Si, which is a sustainable development goal of churches. Also, there should be a diplomacy in which fair role-based system that would support economic development needs to be focused on. Now the next topic, which is ESG report. So the very first is Bloomberg ESG data. It has around 9,000 companies with international scope. It gives rating out of 100 and has around 120 ESG indicators, which includes carbon emission, climate change effect, pollution, etc. Also, it penalizes companies for any missing data. It has more than 12,200 users. Corporate Knight Global 100. It is Toronto based, which has around 100 most sustainable corporations in the world. It is the world's largest magazine on sustainability and responsibility business. It gives annual report. Rating is given out of 100, which is based on 14 key performance indicators that are categorized into supplier performance, employee, and financial management. It has around 380,000 users. Dow Jones Sustainable Index. It is partnering with RobecoSAM. It had released its first global index in 1999 to track sustainable driven public companies. It also has international scope. It has the methodology of industry-specific questionnaire, which is based on economic, environment, and social factors. ISS, they had released the first climate impact rating, which is known as Climatrix. It also has international scope. So the ISS quality score, which details higher quality governance as well as lower risk, is given from 1 to 10. 1 being the highest quality governance and 10 being the lowest. In the climatic score, 1 is the highest and 5 is the lowest. It also provides research, screening and analysis on SLI topics. It is one of the leading providers. The next is MSCI ESG report. It is the largest independent provider of ESG rating. It gives rating from AAA to CCC, CCC the lowest. It has around 37 ESG issues, which is categorized into 10 themes. Companies are also invited for verification. It is usually used by institutional investors. RAPE Risk, which was launched in 1998, it has around 84,000 private and public companies. It also includes an ESG report for NGOs, government bodies and projects. It gives rating from AAA to D, D being the lowest. It categorizes them into 28 ESG issues which focus on UN's global impact principles. They also give report on hot topics which focus on sustainable development in the world. It is also used by institutional investors. Sustainalytics, it was launched in 2008 based on 3 different countries, which is Germany, Netherlands and Spain. It gives ratings out of 100. It has around 70 ESG indicators. It is used by government institutions. Thomson Reuters ESG research data. It has around 6,000 companies. It also has international scope. It gives rating from D negative to A positive, with D negative the lowest. It has around 400 different ESG metrics. It gives ratings based on weighted categories. This data has been integrated into Thomson Reuters Icon platform, which is a prominent financial data in the world. So the green swans, we know that in 2007 black swan was discussed. So the green swan is also like that. So green swan is a factual distribution. In this, climate related risk, which has both physical as well as technician risk, are categorized by deep uncertainty and non-linearity. There is no historical information of it, and that is the problem. They are not easy to analyze. Therefore, traditional risk management approach fails, as you can't extrapolate historical data as they are irrelevant. This requires epistemological break. So climate change related shocks and their effects. So for demand, as you can see, types of shock can be investment, consumption as well as state. So in investment, they have uncertainty about the future demand due to climate risk, and since they can't predict that, there is also uncertainty about climate risk as well. For supply, labor supply, there is loss of hours due to extreme heat. Labor could also have supply shocks due to emigration or migration. So for extreme events, loss of hours could be there due to natural disasters, and that is not easily calculated. So climate-related shocks are not calculated easily. So now the next topic in this, climate change as a source of monetary and financial stability. So for the financial stability, there are supply and demand shocks. Supply shock can also reduce economy's productive capacity, such as frequent resource shortage or loss in hours worked. These are cyclical instruments. One of the problem why this is a big problem is that there is no global coordination. Climate change affects all the countries in the world. You need a global coordination, which is found wanting. Central banks could take preemptive measure to hedge against green swan, but they don't know how to take it because there is no historical data and when to take it. So that is one of the biggest problem in it. The second is the financial stability. Climate related risk are divided into 2 parts: transition risk and financial risk. They impact various sectors on sales, operation costs, capex, asset equity evaluation, etc. They give rise to 5 different risks, which are credit, market, liquidity, insurance, and operational risk. So what is a credit risk? It is deterioration in borrower's ability to repay debt. As there is increase in probability of default, there is increase in loss given default. That results, and there is also potential depreciation of asset, and this gives rise to credit risk. Market risk, Stranded asset can change investors' perception of profitability. It can induce fire sales, which could trigger financial crisis as there would be losses. Value at risk method that is used in financial market needs to be used to avoid it. Liquidity risk. This affects banks as well as NBFCs. It could decrease refinancing in short term and create tension in interbank lending market. Another is the insurance risk. As there is increase in expected insurance claim payout, there would be decrease in pricing of new insurance products. This would create a risk for insurance companies. Another is operational risk. This is the least significant. Financial institution assets will be affected by climate change, but right now they don't know how it would be. So this was what was discussed in all these 4 chapters. I hope you like this video. Subscribe to this channel, like, share and comment, and we will meet soon.